Oh, and we are recording. Guys, wanted to sit there and introduce everybody. Welcome to another segment, rather, first of Know Your New Breed Tag Team Black Belts. And today, very special day. Have a very special guest with us. He is the founder of Tag Team, runs Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United. Has been training since the mid 90s, 95, 95. 4-3 black belt, Pan American champion, multiple time no-gi champion. Has fought on pro shows that many of us want to get on. Kasai, Fight to Win, all the good stuff. Guys, Jared Weiner. That he is who we are. He's our guest today. You can't say enough. I can't say enough about Jared. And most of you guys don't know Jared the way that I do. There's a lot of history there. It goes back all the way to 03. And it's honestly, truly an honor to have you, Jared, here on the little on Zoom. So hopefully we're going to go back and forth. I really don't have like an agenda, so to speak, with this. And I just want to sit there and go back and forth and have Jared get to know you guys a little bit and have you guys get to know a little bit of Jared as well, too. So, Jared, do you want to give the guys, the students, a little bit of any other background that I didn't really touch on? I know there's
No, you pretty much. And guys, if you see this little face popping in here real quick, and you see like these llamas popping in here, all right. No, I started training jiu-jitsu in '95 in Philadelphia under Steve Maxwell. I was just a skater kid, a punk rock hardcore kid. Was into ice hockey, and jiu-jitsu kind of took over during that time. My boy Bean got me involved in ice hockey, and then oh, sorry, that was 2 points right there. And two, yeah, that was clean sweep. So yeah, that and I opened up my own school in 2002 on Bustleton Ave in Northeast Philly. That's where I met Mark for the first time. He hit me up. I was scouting his brother because I thought I was going to have to fight his brother. And Mark literally called me the same day when I was scouting his brother. And I was like, this is weird, man. And I thought it was a conspiracy. And I thought Mark was out to get me. And I was like, yo, these guys are plotting on me. And I was like, and there it is. That's it wrapped up in a nutshell. And we became great friends ever since. And there it is. And here we are today.
Yeah, it's that. I tell that story all the time. It's the
conspiracy. You guys are out to get me.
That's I tell that story all the time. It's so good. I'll get back to that story in a second. But you mentioned that you were a pro skateboarder, correct? Or you were
semi-pro. I was sponsored and stuff like that. I had a bunch of sponsors. I think I was on the way to the big show, but I fractured my coccyx bone at one point, and then I kind of chose between skating and jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu kind of beat my body up in a whole nother way.
So you've been training then for, man, 20, over 25 years.
25 years now.
Jeez, that's a lot. Basically, we were training before some of my students were born.
I was training before a lot of my students were born. I was training before, it's crazy how long and what we've seen and the changes that we've seen over the years and just the whole dynamic of this thing, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's I was there when you got your black belt. That was in July or August of 03.
It was September of 03.
September of 03. That's what it was. It was before I moved to Chicago. That's right. It was right before I moved to Chicago. It was like I think it was like a week before I moved to Chicago. And that was like what people don't realize is that you are one of the longest tenured American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. There's like everyone talks. I know that there was articles before and stuff from a couple of years back about that Dirty Dozen, but what to my students, to the new breed students, guys, what you guys don't realize is that Jared is that second wave. He's on that second wave American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So you are talking to a certified OG. We have a certified OG here. Seeing it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, there's a few of us from that second or third wave. Like, Steve Maxwell was in that wave, and then I kind of came after Steve Maxwell. And, it's cool. And I know a lot of the more modern American black belts get the notoriety. Why am I can't say it? Notoriety.
Notoriety. I'm the
notoriety.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. and I don't know. Because I guess it's the way they market themselves, and I guess it's the way they're out there competing in the adult division and stuff these days. But I just keep chugging along and trying to do my thing and whatever. Whatever.
No.
It bothers me at times that that sometimes these other American black belts don't get the credit's due. Like, dude, like the Dave Camarillos and like these guys are all OGs, man. Like Kenny Florian, all these guys, and like, yeah, they get it because they. But there's that group of dudes from that generation whose name should be in that mix. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. If we had social media back then, if we had Facebook back then, we'd be able to, people would still know our names, but know your name rather. But I know it. I've always followed it. I'm a little bit older than you, but basically I've been following jiu-jitsu that whole time. And if people don't know, they should know because, they absolutely should know because you guys, you and the rest of that generation, and you in particular have seen a lot, have basically been through the wars, have gone through all the adversity, have seen all the ups and downs. You've run Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United for what, 18 years now?
18 years. So, and some other names in that time, like Sean Williams.
Yes.
We all came up together. Joe D'Arcy, who they named the Darce joke after. Rob Shire from my area. All these dudes are like old school sick black belts. There was Danny Ives back in the day as well. You remember Danny? Like,
yes, I remember Danny.
So like that whole crew of dudes, man. It was a Tom Margolis. Remember Tom Margolis?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and like, yeah, whole sick bunch of dudes. Rock, rest in peace, Rock. You know what I mean? Like, so we had a fun generation coming up. Dudes, we've all went to war together.
Yeah.
With each other and against each other at times, but it was fun.
Let's go back to the story of how we met. It was actually really hilarious. I was telling the story recently on Josh McKinney's podcast. I was on there too. And I was telling the story where basically I was looking for jiu-jitsu and I called up my older brother. I was back in May of 03, early May of 03. And I was just like, hey, there's no jiu-jitsu in Delaware. Cause man, at that time there was zero jiu-jitsu in Delaware. It was just Tai-Kai jiu-jitsu on Kirkwood Highway. That was it. And after that, I was just like, all right, well, I want to train, and I know I shouldn't go there. So where should I train? My older brother gets on the old dial-up internet and everything, on the old AOL.
The AOL?
Yeah, the old AOL. He calls me up. I remember I was at work. I was on a break. He calls me up. He's like, hey, you want to break? You got time right now? I'm like, yeah, I'm on break. So I go to the computer. He's like, look up this site. Look up Jared Weiner and look up BJJ United. So I see it and everything like that. And he's like, how far are you from there? I was like, I don't know. Let me MapQuest it because, of course, MapQuest was the thing back then.
You had to print that joint out.
Absolutely.
Piece of paper. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're just driving like this the whole time, like trying to figure it all out. How many? Can't count the number of exits that I've missed and stuff for using MapQuest. Oh, it's ridiculous. But 51 minutes away, one-way drive, 51 minutes away. And I remember getting off my brother, who's just like, yeah, that guy's legit. Go train with him. I call you up. And it was funny. It's just like you answered, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United. And I was like, how you doing? I'm interested in taking jiu-jitsu. I used to train a little bit before, so forth and so on. And you asked me what my name was. Like, Mark Vives. He's just like, come again? Mark Vives. I was just like, are you related to Mike Vives? This is our first conversation. Right away. It was real confrontational, too. It was like, are you related to Mike Vives? It was awesome. It was awesome. It was hilarious. And I was like, yeah, he's my older brother. And you were like, no joke. I'm watching footage of him right now.
On the VHS. The VHS, I was watching Mike get down because I thought we were going to have to get down at the U.S. Nationals. Yeah. Or something in California. I can't remember. I can't remember. But I thought we were going to have to get down, and I was like, oh. So I thought they were setting me up. You were coming to scout me out and see where I was at. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious because I walked in the next morning. I remember it was I think it was a Wednesday or Friday class, 7:30 class. And I sit there, I walk on in, and I see you. Shaved head like me at that time, and you were drinking your Wawa coffee in front of that thing, and I walked in, and you like are just basically doing multiple double takes, and just doing multiple double takes, and you just be like, all right, you got to be that guy's brother. You got to be that guy's brother, and then we hit it off right from there. It was hilarious, but ever since then. First off, I did feel the first couple of days that you thought I was there to scout you. It was pretty funny.
You were spying on me.
I was a mole. I was the plant. But
Yes.
yeah, but like I thought it was hilarious. But it didn't take long for me to really feel at home at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United. Everyone, like, it's one of the things that I most admire about you is the way that you present yourself, your leadership. It reflects back, and everyone it reflects back on all your students, on the rest of the team that you've built, and even all of the other affiliates as well too. When you talk to them, like, everybody takes that lead, takes that jive, takes that personality from you. Made me at home, made me feel at home right away. It was awesome. And the next thing you know, we're training at 7:30. You let me park my Ducati in your lobby
In the school.
in the school. That was the best. It was just that was like a few weeks back, maybe last week, 2 weeks ago. You put that picture up of when you're first building a Brazil Jiu-Jitsu BJJ United,
Yep.
and I could see the little lobby, and I was just like, "Hey, that's where my bike went, right there in the front."
Like,
Yeah,
we,
it's
we had a fun crew back in the day. Everybody does
uh,
good. You had Young Hoffa. We had Jim Kelly. We had Frizzy. Remember Frizz? And we
yes,
had Consagino. Douglas came through.
yes, Douglas.
Remember when you had that? I put you to talk to Adam in the dressing room for me. Adam Hopman, who's still a
Yes,
friend of mine to this day. I miss Adam. He lives down in Florida. But I put you to talk to him because he was a knucklehead that came in from Northeast Philly. Remember? And we were
right.
like, yo, we got to set this kid straight.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I put you to the locker room with the roaches coming out of the drain. You had to stuff the drain with the pads and stuff. And then, yeah, so we had a good crew.
Yeah, I was so when I started at Jared's, it was what, '03, May of '03. I was still a white belt at the time. I was for a little bit, for a short period of time, I was your white belt enforcer. It was
You
funny.
were.
Uh
You were my white belt enforcer. You were my blue belt enforcer. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, I had you lumping some dudes up. You know, it was just me and you in there. I'm gonna shut this door. Give me one
do your thing,
second.
do your thing.
And then, yeah, you were the enforcer crew in there, and then we set it straight. You know, and then we bred some other enforcers along the way.
It's funny because I always say, tell my students and stuff, I'll give that moniker, the like, hey, you're my white belt enforcer, you're my blue belt enforcer, and people are probably always wondering where that came from. That came right from you, like
Yeah.
literally, that literally came right from you and stuff.
That's Philly. That's Philly. Chicago might beat us in the body count, but we beat you in the enforcer count. You know what I mean?
Everyone's an enforcer there on the East Coast, especially up in Philly. But it
Yeah.
was, yeah, I tell them all the time, I'm like, you got to know, if you have a school, you got to have an enforcer at every belt
Yep.
level. White
You
belt enforcer needs to beat the blue belts up, and like, so forth and so on.
you remember what the cue was? Remember, it was the beard. If I rub the beard,
Yes.
and we call it bearding, dude. So if the guy would give me the look, and if I'm standing there looking at you, like, rubbing the beard, that would mean beat the brakes off of
So this
him.
is probably not good for me to admit, but I've told my enforcers this too. If I call you by your first and last, if I make pairs, and I call you by your first and last name, that means you're dialing up that person that you paired you up with. I rarely ever call somebody by their first and last name in class, and if I called you by your first and last name, you parked up and you just sat there and like, who am I fighting? Who am I fighting? We're going right now. We're going like you're immediately searching which one, who needs it. So yeah, that's my cue. So if you are coming to trial class at an open mat at Newbury Training Center, and I pair you with someone, and I say that, and you all of a sudden know that first and last name, be ready to fight, be ready to roll. So
Yeah,
just be ready to go. No.
it's game on. It's game on.
And so just so you guys know, but those were good times. And one of the things, it was crazy because I started training early in May, and you promoted me to blue belt after just knowing me after about like 2-3 weeks. And I was telling the story to Josh McKinney as well too, how it was all after an open mat where I left my extremely soaking wet, like Kevlar looking Owano International gi, like at the gym after open mat. And I was like, I remember calling the gym as soon as I got home, realizing that, leaving a voicemail message and all that other fun stuff, apologizing. Oh my God, it's all probably sweaty and everything. Because that same open mat, you told me to go roll with Mike Fowler and also, late Dave Jacobs as well too and stuff. And I remember coming back in on Monday, and you said, like, I was like, Jared, let me get my gi first so I don't forget it. So from its own, it was just like, yeah, it's behind the desk, behind that little desk that you had right up in the front. Like as soon as you walk into the left, you're right. And so I go behind there and I see my gi, and instead of the white belt, that raggedy old white belt, there's that baby blue M Kimono's blue belt on there.
Yep.
And to me, I was like just shocked, surprised. And it was funny because I did not think I was deserved because you knew me for 2-3 weeks, if that, something like that. It was not a very long time. And the thing that you said there actually was pretty inspiring to me. It's just like, I'm just righting a wrong. You should have got this a long time ago. And to me, that was that was awesome. I couldn't really explain, even now, can't really explain how good that felt, because it came from someone who didn't really care like what my past was and what I've gone through and everything like that. Didn't really care, but just sat there and was just like, no, you deserve this. This is what you should have got a while back and stuff. And it was awesome. And then from there, and then you took it back and told me to come back at 7 for the 7 o'clock class, the evening class, so we could all get it. So we could all get it together.
Nice.
And then we all went through that gauntlet and got beat up by everybody by a little bit. But it was fun. I would never trade that experience for anything. It was just probably one of the coolest experiences from a blue belt, from a belt promotion perspective. But and then I moved shortly after Labor Day, or I think Labor Day, basically right after you got your black belt, moved back to Chicago. And what the guys don't know is that, so obviously I'm in Chicago now. This is before the dawn of what jiu-jitsu is right now and stuff. You just trained wherever you could train. So I trained where, my family friend was, and my brothers trained at Carlson Gracie's. And the coolest thing about it is that you always kept in touch with me. You always checked up on me, which I thought was awesome. So even, all throughout the ranks, you would watch my matches. I'd watch her matches, and we just kept in touch. And it was always the coolest thing. And, I learned a lot just by watching you. Remember good old Yeshua?
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Yash. I don't even know. I know he started with you. I don't even know what happened to Yash, but I hope he's doing well. That's all I
Yeah,
got.
me too. He was a good kid. He was a special talent too, but
Yes.
he just kind of went off the grid a little bit, and I haven't heard from him or seen him in years. I hope he's all right. You know what I mean?
Same here. Same here. He's easily one of the guys. He, like you said, special talent. I talk about having a good jiu-jitsu IQ all the time. He had one of the highest. Just figured stuff out, and
He was.
it was a great asset to have in the gym with us during the time that he was. And I hope he was doing well. But one time he sat there and pulled me aside. He's just like, I know why you and Jared get along so well and stuff. I know why. He's just like, you are literally an Asian version of Jared. You are the exact same person. That's why his we obviously grow up through the years and we get a little calmer. But when I first started or first took over New Breed for my younger brother, for Miles, I ran that place it was a fight club. It was a fight club. We were all ornery and just, full of piss and vinegar. And it was funny because Yeshua came into that and he was just like, it's literally like the same feel. It's the same vibe, except Mark, and, again, this is my recording, so I'll say whatever I want to say. It's like, Mark, except you're an asshole. and I was just like, well, Jared's pretty mean too, and everything like that. He's like that too. I get it.
I was a compassionate asshole though. I you know what I mean? I still had a soft spot for people, and I was still nice. You know what I mean? So let me backtrack a little bit. Like the reason I felt like we stayed in touch so well, and the reason we always got along so well and everything is because when you left, you did it right. You know what I mean? You did it with respect. You did it properly. You didn't ghost me. You gave me a massive heads up you were leaving. You told me you were going to train around, and we developed a good friendship prior to that. And you just did everything right leading up to that. I didn't look at it as like you weren't loyal any longer. I didn't look at it as you were dissing me to go somewhere else. It was like everything was perfect. And I respected that from that time and never forgot that. You know what I'm saying? There are certain dudes even to this day that will just ghost you after you've put so much effort into them and you thought they were loyal guys and they'll just ghost you and end up in another place because they're afraid to come and talk to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is crazy to me. Like it's just jiu-jitsu at the end of the day. We're doing a martial art. Like if you're afraid to come talk to me, there's a problem there. We needed to figure that problem out way before it was time for you to leave. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so you did it all right, and I felt like we just had that good vibe. So, and it just carried on to current day. You know what I'm saying?
It's something that honestly that that good vibe, that good relation that I'm just extremely grateful and happy that we were able to sit there and keep that all throughout the years. And I preach it too. And I mean, again, I've seen you like run classes. I've been in your classes, and and people, my students will know that when I run my classes, especially kind of like my more competitive class, my more upbeat classes, I'm a terror there. I'm like on the clock, on this and everything like that. But I never, and you were like that too. You were very on the ball, on the money. Let's not waste time. We're doing this. We're doing that. And I modeled Newbury Training Center after that. And but it's funny you mentioned that because I never felt like I couldn't approach you with something.
Yeah.
And that's something that I always want my students to always know about me too. It doesn't matter how crazy I get. I flip my lid all the time and stuff in class. It's because we're here doing jiu-jitsu. It's a serious thing. If we do it wrong, we could hurt people. We don't want to hurt our training partners. And we want to make sure that everyone's all safe, and we want to make sure everyone's on task. But and I might lose my shit all the time and stuff, like against if you stray too far off task. But the fact of the matter is that I do care about everyone, and you clearly, and anyone who's ever met you has seen you in your school and seen you in any jiu-jitsu setting. After about 15 seconds, realize that you are a very passionate guy about what we do, about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but you're human, just like anyone else, and you could sit there and flip that switch off and be like, okay, let's talk about this because this is a problem and let's just talk. So I was very, I always felt at ease. I never felt like I needed to hide anything or anything like that. I was just very forthcoming with info, and that's what I love too. I try to sit there and kind of hold by that same standard. I'm very open with my students, I'm very open with my students, and I want them to be open with me. And I see that from you all the time. And I hope whenever you come to Chicago, you see that too. I'm kind of.
Oh yeah, I saw it tremendously. Like when I was out there for your anniversary and for your team day and stuff like that. I was blown away. I mean, I've seen you run a room before, but I was blown away. I was super proud watching you stand in front of all those people and just present yourself the way you did and give out all your promotions and just the way you spoke to the room and your articulate but fierce way. You know what I mean? Like I was super proud. And you were even like, you asked me if I wanted to say something that day. And I remember clearly I had no intention of saying anything that day because that was your room. That's your academy. That's I'm not gonna say your show, but that was your time. You know what I mean? I wanted you to shine in front of everybody, and it just made me proud beyond belief, thinking about like all that was like going through my head that day, like where we started and what we did. And I was like looking around, I was like, holy shit, Mark. I'm like, man, you did a hell of a job here. You know what I mean? So
it's crazy. Even to this day, people, I put that picture up every so often and stuff, just as a little bit of a reminder. And even to this day, like I don't remember, like the first thing I said as soon as I sat there and got up in front of the room and everything, I was just like, guys, thanks for everyone for coming. And I was like, okay, this is just cool. I had to take a moment for myself and just be like, all right, this is pretty badass. It just like, yeah. And I know that for your team day, I was at your team day, 300 people, something to that effect.
400 people,
something like that. And that day, I think we easily had over 200, probably easily over 250. And I was just blown away by that capacity. I've never once would have thought that we would have had that many people on the mat. But it was awesome. It was just really.
Hey, Mark, you know how you said you're the Asian version of me?
Yeah.
This is the Asian version of me right here.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
This is the real Asian version of me.
Touche.
Half Asian version of me, right?
Touche. She's sleepy. I hope she's not going to be as fiery competitive as both of us are.
Oh, she had her first tournament recently.
Did you? How'd you do?
Yeah. How'd you do?
Gold medal?
No, we got silver medal, but we won our first match, and then we
okay.
lost on points in the second match. But you fought super hard, didn't you? Yeah.
That's all that matters. Sometimes it's just about the fight, and we learn from there.
Yeah, and it was.
Zoom meeting.
Oh, she had her first Zoom meeting too with her classmates the other day.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Did you?
But the coolest thing about one of her matches was, and we're not even going to say which one because it doesn't even matter. Right. The coolest thing was she fought with Emily Kwok's daughter, and me and Emily are great old school friends. You know what I mean? So the two generations of two old school black belts, two people who've come up through the ranks, and we just have our daughters now on the mats with one another. and the outcome didn't even matter. It really had no play on it.
I'm 6 years old.
I know you're 6 years old, but that was like the coolest part of the day for me, to be honest with you. Like, me and Emily were just sitting back and all like, look at our little munchkins. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
No, that's like I
2 show-year-old sponsored kids.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I hope they pay for your tournaments, Ellie. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. So they got So that was a good experience. But man, I mean, you've dealt with it too. Like being the dad in that role, watching your kids fight. That was a first for me. That was absolutely brutal. I was like, I didn't want to turn into the spaz dad. You know what I mean? But I'd be coach at the same time and not be spaz dad. And then you got other parents yelling for the other kid, like, choker. And I'm sitting there like, I'm going to break your face. But I couldn't say that out loud. You know what I mean? So, like, the whole thing was just odd to me. It was bizarre. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you the first time that for me, it got real crazy coaching one of my kids. It was actually at Pans, the Pans that you won. The Pans that you won. 2014, 2015, 2014.
2014, yep. 2014
Pans. So, yeah, you won that one. It was funny because I was fighting – I forget which master division it was, but middleweight. And I fought Nakapon the first round. Now, before that match, 30 minutes before that match, Mikey, my daughter, 20 now, that was her first Pans. That was her first major. She sat there and says, like, I want to try fighting at Pans too. So she came out with us and everything. And she sat there and she fought 30 minutes before. I had it all set up so where John Iwano was going to go coach her. It's like, I can't coach her. Like, it's got to be someone else and stuff. John Iwano goes over there, and I'm in the bullpen, and I just freak out because I'm just like, what is going on? So I run out of the bullpen into the coach's area and start coaching. Mikey does her thing. She loses the match, and the whole time she gets caught in the deepest omoplata I've ever seen her get caught in. And the whole time I'm like, oh, my God. I'm on this close to just yelling, just tap so you can get it over with. She gets out of it, but ends up losing on points. And I sit there, go back to the bullpen, completely adrenaline dumped. And now I got to go fight Nakapon. I go in there. It was literally the worst showing I've ever had at a major in my entire life. I ran up to him, pulled side control. And as I'm pulling side control, I'm like, yeah, this is going to suck. And I immediately just give my back, and 90 seconds later, less than 90 seconds later, done.
And with Knock, too, you got to be on point because he's coming at you. Knock's
coming.
Yeah, he's a physically strong dude right there. I've trained with Knock in the past. That dude is a moose.
Yeah.
That's like a bad first-round matchup for anybody because Knock is coming hard right there.
And he did. And it was funny. I sat there, and I got up. They raised his hand. They shook. When we shook hands, I walk right off. I'm like, good job, Knock. And I sit there and I just walk right up and I see John Iwano and he's looking at me. He's like, his hands up like, what the hell happened? I'm like, let's just go eat. Like, I don't even want to. Let's just go eat. We're done. We're done here.
They were trying to knock off one of the Asians in the first round. That's
exactly.
Right there.
Exactly. Like, we got to half the Asian field, right? We got to half the Asian field right now. Take care of this. Like, we can't risk him going that far and stuff like that.
We can't risk them going to the finals, man.
The podium. There's a one Asian limit on the podium. But yeah, but I feel you. I've done that. It was funny the second time around with Maya, her first tournament. It was at Grappling Industries. It's all Ron Robin and stuff, right? That was 2 years ago. She went 0-4, and I was just like, not a care in the world. I was just like. And I looked at her. I'm like, I don't care if you win or lose. We're going to Olive Garden afterwards, so it doesn't matter. Just fight your ass off. And to her credit, she got better and better and better every single match. And I was just like, yeah, just I don't care. Have a good time. Just have fun. The refs are apologizing me for stopping the match early. There's 2 times she got subbed for stopping the match early. I'm like, I don't care. Whatever. Just let her fight. Just let her fight. She wants to fight. Just let her fight. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. It is nerve-wracking.
Ridiculous.
Belief.
But then you got these parents yelling. They don't know who I am on the other side. They're just like these clueless parents over there. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little frustrating.
I hear you. It's one of the coolest things throughout the years was always running into at tournaments. It was always running into at tournaments and stuff. It was like, you let me always do my thing. You always did your thing. And we'd always just see each other. And I remember it was just like at the Brent Center. I'd be walking down the stairs to go check my weight or something. You'd be walking up the stairs, you just coach somebody, and you'd see me just sit there, put their hand out there and everything. I was just like, man, Jared's the coolest guy in the world. Stuff. It's just like this because it was always like that. It was always like that. Even when, oh God, just as recently as that one Baltimore fight to win where Nick was there. You guys drove down and then literally fought and then drove all the way back up.
Yep.
And I remember I was there with Matt, and you were right there in my corner. You were like right there in my corner, and it was literally throughout the years, just like I always like when I run classes, I am constantly talking the whole time, and that's because whenever like my competitors compete, I want them to always be able to pick out my voice. And for you, you basically did the exact same thing when I was training.
It was easy, right? It was easy.
It was easy. It was just going right back all the way to 03, just like all over again. And it was just easy. It was just awesome. And you've always had my back in that corner and stuff.
Do you think that day, I mean, I think we kind of briefly discussed it beforehand, but do you think that day was like the final, like nail in the coffin? Like, yeah, we're going to reunite these teams again. I feel like that was it.
That was definitely the tipping point, if not the day that sealed the deal, for lack of better terms. But I always laugh and I always tell Sam. Remember Sam Spiegelman? So we're chatting all the time, and they're like, "Hey, I talked with Jared." And of course, the question came up. It's like, "So when you coming back? When you coming back to the family? When you come back into the fold?" And I always laughed. I always laughed because it was for me. It was. I never mind. I never ever minded the question. When you to be honest with you. And when we started talking about, I remember that was September, October of 2018 when I called you up out of nowhere. And I remember it was just out of nowhere. And I called you up. I was just like, so if we were to come back, what would that entail? What would it, that's when I officially opened up the discussion and stuff. And I could tell in your voice, you're like psyched. You're like, yeah. It was
about time.
Yeah, you did give me one of those too. You did give me one of those.
That
was a cool conversation. And then like the way that everything kind of worked out, it just, to be honest with you, and I've told you this, I tell my students this, it's honestly like we never left. It's honestly like I never left. I was always still a part of it. It didn't matter what my patch said and stuff like that. I was always part of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tag team family. And it's funny how things work and how we all come back and realign. And now we get to talk smack to each other about football and who's the better team. And I'm still hurting about the double doink.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, still hurting about that.
That pizza was good too. That pizza was good. You sent me, by the way.
It's Lou Malnati's. I was going to ask you about that too. I was going to kind of start the whole thing with like, how was that pizza that I sent you?
The deep dish was legit. Yeah. We got here the next day too. It was good, man.
Thank you, Lou Malnati's. Lou Malnati's makes the real deal pie. At least the franchise one that they can send over. But I got to take you to this other place next time you're in Chicago. Which let's get that done. When all this is over, we're gonna get you out of here and stuff like that for promotions. Less fanfare. Just come out, and get you out here and meet the guys and stuff like that.
That last place we went to, that restaurant was good. Where all the Chicago Bears were in there too. That place. Was awesome.
Yeah, Maple and Ash. Yeah, that's one of my favorite places to eat. And honestly, if I didn't go in the restaurant biz and stuff and like didn't have the hookups there, man, I want to go there. But yeah, that was funny though, because we literally sat right next to the defensive front seven.
Leo Mack just strolls in there like it's nobody's business. And Lynn's the only one who gets up. Hey, good to see you again. I sold you a car. Can we get a selfie?
Yeah, because of course that was Akeem Hicks's birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Hakeem Hicks was in there. Josh, what's his name? Josh.
Eddie Jackson was they're all in there. That whole front seven was up in there. Bilal Nichols, all those guys were in there and stuff. But that was pretty cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
But man, like it's one of the things that I admire the most about you, Jared, and what I think that people can clearly see, but just they can't see, is just like you are a natural born leader. The whole leadership quality that you exhibit is something that I've always tried to kind of emulate as well too. You've always led from the front. You've always led from the front. You're not going to put your students in a position that you haven't gone through, which to me is ultra uber important. Like if it's, I guess my question, where I'm going with this is as follows: is just how, like how do you do it? To be honest with you, for lack of better terms, like how do you do it?
It's a daily learning process. Like, man, it was like trial by fire. You know what I mean? Because like, there's so many different personalities we're dealing with,
Right.
and you got to really learn how to just deal with a million different personalities. Even like team leaders on our association, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not all the same, so it's difficult at times to navigate, you know, the different personalities to try to keep everybody happy. And I've once you realize it's almost impossible to keep everybody happy in any line of work, you know, whether it be police work, whether it be jiu-jitsu, whether it be anything, then you know you'll start to sleep a little better. But like you said, it's, you know, being, you know, leading by example. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the beginning, I had a hard time the way maybe I talked to some people and did some things and realized like maybe this way won't work. And, you know, maybe I need to earn that respect a little more instead of trying to hammer the respect into people. You know what I'm saying? There's things like that. It was trial by fire. It was a growing process. It was growing up too. It was really not being a 23, 24-year-old kid running a team, running a school anymore, but, you know, becoming a man and doing this, having more responsibilities with the team, and trial by fire, you know what I mean? And just not afraid to speak my mind, not afraid to confront problems head on, not afraid to talk to somebody when I feel like there could be a problem looming, instead of letting it linger and explode. That's where things go bad, you know?
Right.
Most problems nowadays, almost 95 to 98% of problems in this world, besides wars, obviously, maybe even wars, but like can be talked out as adults and discussed and worked out for a better solution. You know what I mean? But you got so many people who will just be like, I had a problem with this dude, then I'll come to you and talk about it with this dude. Then it goes, this talks about this dude, and then it fucking spirals out of control. And before you know it, it's that whisper down the lane effect. And,
Right.
you know, you never even solved your problem, but now it blew up tenfold. Now you're going to get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, life is so much easier when you just confront shit head on. And that's a big lesson I learned, you know, and that's why I think we have such a success rate at the school of our retention from the students from back in the day. Literally, I can count out probably 5 to 7 students on my hand who I've asked to leave over 18 years of business, which is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's me asking them to leave, kicking them out. We've had other people leave without me kicking them out, going to other places because maybe we just didn't fit. Good. So be it. Let them go peacefully. If we don't fit, it's a business. It's a school. If it don't work for them, it's not going to work for me. I'd rather a disgruntled person go where they're happy instead of being a bad seed in the school. So like this shit like that, and just, you know, confronting problems head on, leading from the front. That's I think is a huge thing.
And if I'm not mistaken, now that type of leadership has basically led you to be in charge of, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, because we've talked a little bit about this too, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I believe that tag team is the largest in terms of numbers. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu affiliation registered with the IBJJF that's led by an American. I think so.
I'm not sure. I'd like to verify that before I commented on that, but like it may be. We're definitely getting up there with numbers, but it's not chump numbers neither. It's like it's a tight knit crew of like all dudes who know each other. Yeah. It's not like this little spur academy and who knows where, or this other place and freaking who knows where. It's all dudes who are like a tight knit crew. And for the most part, every school leader, if we needed to step out on the mat today and handle some type of business, could do it. We don't have any chump ass dudes who are hiding behind their belts or anything like that. You know what I mean? There's no soft stuff going on. So I don't know. I'm pretty stoked with where this team's going right now.
That's actually a good lead into kind of like what my next question was. Where do you see tag team going in, say, 3 years?
See, I was just talking about this with Jim Kelly and Matt Layton the other day as well. And we were talking about being more consistent. We're talking about consistency of not just winning the Chicago Open, but winning every other Open. We can stack those numbers in as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, we have a huge Midwest presence, but fuck, we got a huge East Coast presence too. you know, and we need to be more consistent, not just in the Midwest, but on the East Coast, down in Texas, you know, everywhere, up in New England, East Coast, New York, got New York, New Jersey, Philly, Pennsylvania, Midwest Pennsylvania, you know what I'm saying? So if we stack all these numbers together like we did in Chicago with the East Coast and Midwest and Texas all coming in, man, there should be no doubt we shouldn't be on the podium at every single event we go to. But we got to be consistent, and we got to bring our guys ready to rock and roll. So we're not going to get it done with 3 or 4 guys at each tournament. We need to get it done with 50-plus guys at each tournament. You know what I mean? Just to rival some of these bigger names that are out there who you know, let's not fool ourselves. Marcelos, Henzos, Lloyds, all these guys they're killing it on the East Coast and all over the country. And to rival these guys, we need to really get our aces out there and all our guys from the women's teams to the masters teams to everybody to get out there and handle business.
I can't agree with you more. I love to compete. Yeah, I mean, you know that. I mean, like, I'm out here chasing that number 1 spot and stuff, but for me, it's just competition. The reason why I compete so much is, number 1, I want to be that role model for everyone else. But number 2, at the heart of it all, it's so much fun. And some of our students just haven't had that experience of like, man, it's a lot of fun. It really, really is. It stinks preparing for it. I mean, we all know it stinks preparing for it. And of course, traveling for it and so forth and so on. Some of us have families and, you know, don't want to be away too long. But I agree with you. It's just being like from a competitive standpoint, from a tournament standpoint, for all our competitors, let's just all get on the same page and pick tournaments up, like maybe 1 a quarter or even more, whatever we can do, and just be like, let's get after it.
Yeah. So people start to know our name more than just a hashtag, you know what I'm saying? Or a t-shirt. Like I want dudes to be like, oh, here they are again. You know what I mean? Here they are again. And it could be that we have the numbers, we have the power players for that, especially our Masters team. There's no reason. I mean, I'll put it out there. We probably have one of the best Masters teams in the country, like for sure, without a doubt. Like if you look at all our active Masters guys right now, it's pretty impressive. You know, you, Gouda, Watson, Redding, Sabins, myself, Raji, Junior, Brad Court. Like it is. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Will Martinez. Yeah. Like I'm thinking off the top of my head. Jim Kelly, his ugly self. Jay Hayes, when he gets back out there, he was one of the best competitors coming up on the East Coast for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know, if I'm missing anybody, I'm missing so many dudes. I'm sorry.
There's so many of us, though. I mean, there's so many
from every association. You know, Mike Wilson. I don't think Ulrich's 30 yet. He's one of our young bucks still. Is he 30 yet? I don't think so.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is. But there's so many dudes, and even from inside all the schools too. You got a ton of Masters guys. I got a ton of Masters. Calvin East is a Masters guy. Like all these dudes are Masters. Like it's scary how good it is. Big Larry down in Texas with Mark Redding. Yes. He's a Masters guy.
Shannon in Ohio. There's Shannon in Ohio. Taylor Biaggi of our Brownmouths. Master 1.
Oh, Shannon's Master 1?
Yeah, just turned Master 1. So,
shit. He looks young still. Good for him.
Yeah, no,
he hasn't aged too bad. He's pretty good. Good for him.
That's the Navajo in him. He would absolutely say, I guarantee if he's watching this, or when he watches this, he's like, it's the Navajo in me. So.
Yeah. Okay, he's drinking that special water is what he's doing. I got you. That Ohio water, a little different out there. Keeps you young but rusty. You know what I mean?
Young but rusty. Let's start kind of wrapping this up a little bit. Some of the funniest things that I've gotten from you. Or some like your isms, some like your lines and stuff. So the one that sticks out the most to me is the one time I went to go visit you with the family. And we went out to that burger beer joint, like little place right there, like right next to it. It was just walking distance. And remember, I popped open an umbrella because it was kind of raining and stuff. We sat back down, and then you just immediately just sat there and tore into me, just like umbrella. Billy, tell him about umbrellas and tell him about umbrellas and Phillies. No umbrellas. He just looks up, just goes, no umbrellas, just puts his head down. And to this day, Bob Hemrick, you met him at the UFC, and you saw him again at the 15-year. To this day, I told him that story, and he dies all the time. He's like, I love that. I love Jared for that story.
Yeah, man. Little drizzle, you can't break out an umbrella. You shouldn't be rocking an umbrella anyway. Put a hood up and trench.
I'm sitting there trying to do it for my kids, man. My Maya and Alex
The
and
way
stuff.
I saw it, you had that joke.
So the other story that I absolutely love was the fight twin that was here and the chair story. I'm just going to talk about the chair story. That's what happened to the chair. So we're not going to talk about the match. We're not going to talk about the match. But
or the ref.
Needless to say, that chair took a beating. That steel chair took a beating. Thrown around, slammed on the ground, up in that little turfy, kind of weird, soccer thing area up there at the Odeum. Took a beating. And then you wanted to sit down. There were no other chairs. You picked the chair that you beat up. It was all bent and dented. And you unfolded it and sat down and you're angled off to the side like this, just all angry. And the picture, I swear, if I knew I wasn't going to get in trouble and take a picture of it just so we could have it for posterity, I would have done it. I was just
I'd have framed that.
We should have we should have done it. It was just the whole time we're just should we stop him? I'm like, he's just beating up a chair. Just let him beat up the chair and stuff like that. Just that chair's gonna die. It's all right. You can take it. Just leave it.
Yeah, that was a rough night.
It was a rough night. It was a rough night.
It's in your hair.
Yeah, but then
that was a rough night.
Yeah, but then the very next, and then one of my other funny stories that I absolutely love is I think it was when you had a stopover. I'm pretty sure it was when you had a stopover. You're coming back from Guam. You're passing through. And you had a couple of those. There was the one time I took you downtown where it was freezing. And I'm just in shorts. And you're like, what the? And you were in shorts too. And you're like, what is going on? There was that. But there was the one time you had the long stopover. And you came over and you taught a class, which I thought was really, really cool. Well, you were just in for a stopover. And you taught a class. And we were just doing some positional sparring. It was an early afternoon class. We were doing some positional sparring. And my guys are so used to, all right, fine, we're just positional sparring. The next one's, let's just say it's positional guard drill, where, sweep or submit on the bottom, pass on top. Winner stays in, right? Someone gets swept, they go in, they slapping hands, shaking hands, and going. And you literally got in the middle in front of everybody, just what is this? What is this? Shaking hands? I don't want to see no shaking hands. This is I don't want to see just get out there and go. Just get out there and go. And I loved it. I loved it because for me, it was literally being back on Bustleton, just oh yeah, let's just fight. Let's just go. I loved it. And that is, if you ask some of my students who were in that class, we had a pretty big class that day.
Yeah.
And they still remember that story. They love that story.
Yeah, we're a half hour in the session. How many times you want to shake hands with the same dude? Jesus Christ. Just let's get working. You know what I mean? Okay, you're friends. We'll be fine. We don't need to solidify it every 2 seconds, exchanging coronavirus with each other. Every 2 seconds. Chill out. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious. But I everyone that was in that room that day, it was at least 24 people, still remember that, love that story about you, love it. I'm sure they all share it with everyone and stuff, but I love that one. So I'm going to end this on one question. All right. All right. One question, not jiu-jitsu related. All right. It's kind of a would you rather question. All right.
All right.
Football related. Would you rather have your starting quarterback be Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles?
Nick Foles. Nick Foles.
Oh, man. Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. I would rather have Nick Foles, too.
Yeah.
Very talented guy. Trubisky's a very talented guy, but I would rather have Nick Foles. But, yeah it's he's fight, cool under pressure, man. Cool under pressure.
Cool.
But
nice guy. Good leader. Nice guy.
Yeah, good leader. Nice. Yeah, role model, example. Role. He sets a good example. Jared, I know you're a busy guy. I don't know if you're working tonight, and then if you are, be safe. And again, thank you for everything. Thanks for letting us be a part of the tag team crew again. It's always an honor to represent you. Everything that you've built, it's just the way I look at it is just people the way I look at it is this is just again, I've never left Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United. I always I felt like I was part of the team, and there's a lot of stuff, and I talk about it a lot in the Josh McKinney podcast and the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu podcast. But I feel a lot of respect for you, a lot of love for you, because if it wasn't for you and kind of the path that you kind of set me on when I walked into your doors that first time, there's no way that New Breed Training Center all the affiliates that kind of spawned off of it might be in existence. And if they were, it might not be what we are today. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Like, for real, thank you so much. Thanks for putting up with all of our stuff and all of our crap. And, I think, guys, this was awesome. If you're ever in Philly, please go visit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu United and the rest of the other affiliates. Go get your Operation Knee on the Belly DVD. Just
from Mark's basement.
Yeah, go buy it from Jared, and I'll hand deliver it to you.
Yeah.
You don't got to pay for shipping. I'll hand deliver it. I'll hand deliver it. But
you guys want one in Chicago? Go see Mark.
that's a whole other story. I still have it. It's great. But yeah, guys. Hope you got to know Jared a little bit. Jared, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. I'll see you guys.
All right, peace out.